After the comparison between synthetic gasoline, also called e-fuel, and hydrogen, let's compare it to regular electric cars and see who wins. CO2 emission amount. If synthetic gasoline is produced using green energy, it is carbon neutral, so it's equivalent to an electric car in that matter. So that's a tie. Range. Combustion engines still win the range battle for now, although batteries are getting better and the ranges on electric cars are increasing every year. Infrastructure. As for the comparison with hydrogen, all the infrastructure is already in place. Gas stations, logistics, all that. Energy density. As seen in a previous video about hydrogen, 1 kilogram of gasoline packs in way more energy than a 1 kilogram lithium-ion battery. 45 megajoules per kilogram against less than 1 megajoule per kilogram with the latest technologies. There's absolutely no contest here. It's a very clear victory for e-fuel. Materials. Combustion engine cars don't need a lot of lithium, cobalt and copper to be built, and we all know the problems that come with mining these very rare resources. Heating. Inevitable heat lost from the engine is recirculated and injected into the cockpit, so you basically get free heating. In an electric car, the heating is entirely at the expense of the battery reserves. In cold countries, it can be a major disadvantage. Extreme climates. Combustion engines work well in cold climates, and hydrocarbon fuel behaves very well all the way down to Arctic temperatures, whereas batteries suffer a lot. Hydrocarbon fuel also has no problem with high temperatures. You can leave a jerry can of gasoline in the blazing sun for hours without problems. Good luck doing the same with a lithium-ion battery. Refueling. It takes only a couple of minutes to recharge any petrol engine at any gas station. On the other hand, even with the fastest and most powerful chargers, which are far from being omnipresent, you still need over half an hour to charge the most, not even all, of your battery. If you're on holiday, no problems there. If you're on a tight schedule, it's another story. Very clear advantage to synthetic gas. Weight. Combustion engine cars, although they gained quite a lot of weight over time, are still lighter than electric cars by a vast margin. Batteries are terribly heavy, which means electric cars wear out their brakes and above all their tires more quickly, and it's recently been discovered that tires emit a catastrophic amount of microparticles when they wear out, which is an additional problem altogether. Portability. Synthetic gasoline can be used in remote areas where there is no electricity or not enough to charge an electric car, just like regular oil-based fuel. When an electric outage occurs, emergency generators can run on diesel. It is crucial for hospitals, for example. Electric generators in general, by nature, are required everywhere electricity can't reach or is faulty or unreliable. So, do electric cars win somewhere? Noise? Depending on who you ask, of course. The complete silence of an electric car might be heaven or repulsive. One might prefer the melody of a V8, a V10 or a V12. Some might even say that the silence of an electric car is sneaky and can cause accidents with pedestrians. It's quite a subjective area, I'll give you that. Let's just say it's a tie for now. Torque. Electric engines deliver instantly. Completely unlike combustion engines, there's an immediate catapult effect. There's no contest here, although your chiropractor may take issue with this. Maintenance. Well, electric cars are simpler to maintain, as a combustion engine car is way more complicated and therefore more costly to maintain. It's no secret. This point goes straight to electric vehicles. Fuel transportation. To carry electricity from source to vehicle, you just use the existing power grid, in which losses are minimal. To carry fuel from the production point to the gas station, you still need a truck. Clear point to electricity? Yeah, unless the truck uses synthetic fuel as well. But that's still more logistics, more complication, and more expense than transporting electricity, so the point still goes to electricity. Alright, after those few victories, round 2, the electric car's secret weapon. Energetic yield. Hands down, this is in fact e-fuel's Achilles heel, and despite the long list of wins, some say this disadvantage alone is enough for its demise when faced with electric cars. Let me explain. Let's say you produce a certain amount of green energy. If you inject this energy into an electric car's battery, you'll only lose about 10% of it in the process, which is usually lost in heat. So 10% is gone, but you still have 90% of it stored and usable. Then when the remaining 90% is used by the car's engine, most, if not all of it, will be converted into kinetic energy and effectively make the car move. Here, again, there's only about 10% loss. Electric engines are extremely good at that, and they're still improving. Besides, electric cars also have regenerative braking that re-injects some of the electricity back into the battery when the car brakes. If you produce the same amount of green energy, and use it to synthesize gasoline instead, you'll lose about 50% of the energy in the process, with current technologies at least. There are multiple steps in synthesizing hydrocarbons, and each step disperses energy into heat. In the end, only about half of the input will be successfully converted into fuel, so that's already a lot of loss. Way more loss than running an electric car, but it's not even over at that stage. This fuel will then be burned in a combustion engine, and unlike electric engines, and despite decades of research and development, combustion engines are famously inefficient. They only manage to convert about 35% of the energy input into motion, and lose 65% of it into heat. That's why engines get so hot and have so many radiators to evacuate the excess heat. When an electric car manages to convert about 80% of the original energy production into motion, cars running on synthetic gasoline do the opposite and waste 80% of their original energy, which means that in order to achieve the same result and move cars the same way at the same speed, you need 4 to 5 times more energy with the synthetic gasoline process. Is this huge disadvantage enough to sound e-fuel's death knell? Not so fast. That's what we're going to talk about in the next video. I'll see you there.